an outstanding group of educators, educators that are second to none. First, I want to say thank you to our mayor for being here, Mayor Harrison.
All right, Mayor.
And to our city manager, Ms. Opal Jones.
All right.
Now, Mayor Harrison also is a pastor.
Right.
And he told me, now, Mr. Granger, it's time for you to bring it on home. So, give me about 15 minutes, Pastor. And we're going to work on this thing.
That's right.
First of all, I want to say there's a delay in the clicker. First of all, I want to say I'm not here by accident.
Right.
And I want you all to know, too, that you're not here by accident.
Right.
You are here for a purpose. You're here for a purpose. It's not by accident that you showed up in Lancaster ISD. It's not by accident that you interviewed when there were a lot of other choices out there. It's not by accident. Nothing is by accident when it comes to the work that we do. Success, in my opinion, is intentional. It's intentional. There is a reason why you're here. We're going to get into that reason in just a minute. But first of all, before I get into that reason, I want to talk to you about who I am as a person. Because you see me in the district, and you see me during board meetings, and you see me as the superintendent walking around. But I want you to know who I am as a person. So let me take you all the way back.
I gotta go. He rough.
He's still grinning now.
Uh-huh.
Same smile.
Age of work on you, want it?
Hey. What's what they gonna have when him sit with that class? Him sit.
So here, a little kid growing up in the 70s and 80s. And I was one of those little kids that you would classify as an economically disadvantaged child. Now, I want you to understand the difference between economically disadvantaged at this time and economically disadvantaged during the 70s.
Right.
We were broke. See, economically disadvantaged during this time, the students still had money for Jean Day. Somebody said, tell the truth and shame the We were broke. So I don't know if I was just didn't have a shirt on or we couldn't afford a shirt. You know, I I wasn't in school at that time, so my mother probably said, you don't need one until you get ready to start school. But one thing I can say, I was happy. I was happy because I had the right people in my life. And as I grew up, I had an opportunity to just enjoy life. As a kid, mother and father used to take us fishing. And we would go out there, and it seemed like we would go fishing all the time. There was a little pond down the street, and we would go over there and we would catch those bluegills.
That's a lot, ain't it?
And then there's a little lake not too far away, and we would catch some crappie. And we would just have a good old time. Almost, it seemed like we would go fishing probably 3 or 4 days a week. And, you know, we could not afford those expensive rod and reels. So we would go down there to the little ditch down there close by the house, and we would cut those bamboos, and we would make us some cane poles, and we would pull those fish out of that water like it was nobody's business. Now, today, it seems like you have to have a boat to catch a fish. But I really just enjoyed that. Now, probably, you know, looking back and thinking about it, we were probably fishing because that was our meal. But as a kid, I just looked at it as being, it was fun. And whatever we caught, because I don't know if we ever obeyed the limit. If we talked about catch or release, we would get a whipping. So we brought everything home to eat. I mean, I don't care how small. They fried up very nicely. So I was able to grow up in a home where there was love in the home. And as you all know, you can have as much money as you want to have. But sometimes there are homes out there with a lot of money, but no love.
That's right.
And I'd rather be rich in love.
That's why we in the back.
That's what was important. And I have to say that the person above always put the right people in my life.
Right. What I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
Throughout my years, growing up, I've always had somebody, a teacher, that always made a difference. It just seemed like they were strategically placed. So even back then, they were there for a purpose. It wasn't by accident. So when I got to the 6th grade, I'll give you a minute to figure out who I am.
Who you are? All that.
Don't talk about God's children.
With that fro.
So when I got to the 6th grade, I met Miss Torillo. Miss Torillo is my favorite teacher. There was something different about Miss Torillo. She was really different. Really different. But one thing I understood and I felt every time I went to her classroom, I felt the love that she had for her students. And she didn't care if I had on those little beautiful striped, black and white striped pants. And she didn't care about that long hair, long curly hair that I had at that time. She didn't care about those dirty tennis shoes. You can't see it well on here. But she didn't worry about any of those things. Every time I went to her classroom, she made me feel like I was $1,000,000. And throughout the years, I can say, seemed like I met a lot of Miss Torillos that were there for me. But nobody took the place of her. And now, Miss Torillo is now Dr. Torillo. And she is on my dissertation committee. And she is ready for me to get my stuff in at the end.
Right. Oh, I miss her.
But I can tell you, the journey growing up as a child was not easy. It was not easy, but I was blessed to have a mother and father. My mother, she only got a 5th grade education. She quit school in the 5th grade. She was in Louisiana. She stopped and started working in the pepper fields to make some money for the family. My father graduated high school, and straight out of high school, he went into the Marines. My father passed away when I was in the 8th grade. And I can tell you, the teachers, when I was in the 8th grade, took care of me. My mother continued on raising us 7 kids. I'm number 7. But you'll think I'm number 1. So before y'all say anything. My mother, with a 5th grade education, she was a CNA. She worked double shifts. She worked hard to take care of us, to raise her kids. And my mother was a praying mother. And one thing that she would do every time she would come and she would tell us when she would get home and she would be tired, but she'd say, "Come on, y'all, let's pray." And she would pray for us. And she would just talk positive things over our lives. Although she was bone tied. My mother worked all the way until she was 70 years old. And my mother died when she was 73 years old. So, but it's been such a blessing to have my parents in my life. When my father passed away, I realized that he was a chaplain. He fought in the Korean War, but he never talked about it. And my father was a man of temperament. My father was a man of self-control. My mother was a woman who controlled all of us. Kept us in line. So I had that good upbringing, although there were times when we didn't have anything. But one thing we had inside, she left in us, and left in me, was a message of hope. She left in me that if you believe, you can achieve. She left with me, you think on positive things. You think on things that will make you better and the people around you better. That's how you go forward. She left valuable information that she instilled within me. It prepared me for my journey. When I graduated high school, I knew that, hey, I wanted to be a teacher. And I knew that I wanted to make a difference. And the road kind of went a little bit here and a little bit there, but I became a teacher. A science teacher at the middle school. And I started teaching, and I started pouring into those students the things that Ms. Torillo poured into me. I started making sure that I would do the things that I needed to do to make sure our students, those students were successful. My journey continued on. It continued on to where I ended up going into administration and continued to working to make sure that students have the best. Because they must have the best. My journey continued, and it took me all the way until today. I'm cutting out a whole lot of my story, Pastor, because I got to get to the point I got to bring it home. I want to thank the wonderful school board, this wonderful school board, for giving me this opportunity. Don't they look good?
Yeah, they do.
Y'all look good too. Look at your neighbor and say, you're sharp as a tack.
Okay, that's sharp as a thumbtack.
She's fine too, girl.
So we're here today. And I can tell you that we're all about changing lives. We're here for a purpose. We're here to make a difference in the lives of others. So I want to tell you a little story. I grew up in the 70s, 80s, and during that time, during the 80s, if you can recall, there was a report that came out. It was A Nation in Crisis. Some of you may remember. A Nation in Crisis. They were looking at what is going on with our public schools. Because at the time when we were really entering into a global economy and understanding that we are competing with other countries, and our students in the United States were not performing as well. So they started looking at what can we do to help to prepare our students to be able to compete in this global society. What can we do? So they started thinking about, well, what do we do well as a country? And when they started thinking about what do we do well as a country, they thought about, they said, well, you know, United States, we know how to do business well. We have all these Fortune 500 companies. We have these, these outstanding companies making money. We are a powerful nation. And one reason why we are a powerful nation is because we have excellent businesses. And we know how to do business. We know how to make money. We know how to do those things. So they started looking at, well, what can we do then that the public education, what can public education adopt? And what practices can we adopt so that we can do well, like businesses? And during that time, there's some people going around and talking about it, and there was this certain gentleman that was a business owner, very successful, and he owned this food chain, and part of his food chain, he owned this ice cream company. It was part of the food chain, and they produced some ice cream called blueberry ice cream. This gentleman took an interest in this report, and he started going around in different circuits and talking about it and talking to principals and superintendents and school board members and telling them, these are the things that you need to do in order for you to be successful in a public school. These are the things that will help you. So he went around and he talked to a number of people. And one day he was holding a meeting with some teachers, and he was telling them about the things that they can do to be successful and turn their situation around. So after the meeting, after he finished speaking, there was a teacher in the audience who asked him, said, "Sir, one of the things we just want to hear about, because you're very successful, and you've made a lot of money, and you're very successful because you're well known for your blueberry ice cream. Would you just tell us more about your blueberry ice cream?" And he said, "Oh, yes." He said, "Let me tell you. In my blueberry ice cream, we sell this blueberry ice cream all across the state line. Different states, but I can tell you one thing that we make sure that we have the finest ingredients. Mm-hmm. We make sure that we have 30% butter fat. We make sure that it is consistent across the board. We only buy our products from certain vendors because we have to make sure that there is consistency here. And whenever someone eats our ice cream, we want it to taste the same, so we make sure of that." And the teacher asked him, "Well, do you visit some of your factories sometimes?" And he said, "Oh, of course." She said, "Well, tell us a little bit about the factory process." He said, "Well, in our factories where we're producing this ice cream, our blueberries, when those blueberries come in, we have quality control. We make sure we get AAA grade, AAA product. We do not want any blueberries with any blemishes. If they come in crushed or scraped or smashed or anything like that, we discard those blueberries. We cull them out, and because they must be picked at the peak of ripeness. These blueberries, the blueberries make our ice cream, and we have to make sure it is absolutely correct. It has to be perfect." Mm-hmm. So the teacher looked at him and said, "Sir, you see, that is the difference between a business and a school. Because, see, our blueberries, they come to us crushed. And we take those blueberries in. Our blueberries come to us bruised.
Well.
But see, as teachers, we don't cull them out. Our blueberries come to us with disabilities.
You better preach,
but
Dr.
we take
Granger.
care of those precious kids.
Yes, sir.
See, our blueberries come to us, and they have all kinds of issues. Mm-hmm. But we, as teachers, we take care of them. Right. We look and we seek out help for them. See, we're not a business. See, we are a school. And here's the thing that we have to understand. We have to understand who we are.
Right.
But we're here for it. Pastor, I'm fixing to bring it on home.
Bring it on home.
Bring it home.
They come to us when their houses are burned down.
Right.
Yes.
And we find them a place to stay. We put clothes on their back. We make sure that they have what they need. We take care of our kids. So understand, our kids are kids, and your blueberries are products. And our kids are not. Our kids are human beings.
Yes.
And that's what we're in the business of. We're in the business of taking care of human beings.
Right. Bring it on.
When we focus on what our real purpose is, why are we here in Lancaster ISD? Why are we in education?
Yeah.
Ms. McVeigh, you've been taking care of kids for years. Mr. Lott, Mr. Lott is like a father to kids in this district.
Yes, he is.
That's what we're here for.
Yes.
Our kids are not coming through a factory.
Yeah.
And we don't have people standing at the door saying, we don't accept you because something is wrong with you. We don't accept you because you're just not a good fit. We take all of them in. Because that's what we do.
Right.
That's what we do as educators. And when we do our job as educators, I want to tell you it's not easy. It's not easy. Because whenever you try to do good,
Sure is.
as Ms. Webb say, evil is always
Always.
It's always there.
Better say that.
But you have to know that you are here to make a difference.
Right.
And if you're here to make a difference, and you're here to take those crushed blueberries in, then you don't worry about the negativity. Look at your neighbor, say, neighbor.
Neighbor.
Negativity does not live here anymore.
Negativity does not live here anymore. He did that.
So don't worry about those dogs that are barking all around you. You ever see a little old dog that just bark all the time? Just bark. And then you open the door, and when you open the door, he just goes up and wags that tail and just look at you.
I tell you, that's the way you did that.
And then when you close the door, roo, just bark. You can't stop for that.
That's right.
You have to block that out. You have to say, no, I'm here for a reason. I'm here for a purpose. And don't come over here with your negativity. Don't try to stand in the way of me becoming an all-star teacher.
Amen.
Learn how to speak life into your situation.
Yes.
Preach it. Tell it.
We don't have time for negativity.
Right.
We have those crushed blueberries to take care of.
Yes.
We don't have time for necessary talk.
They go to music.
We have to be about our business as an educator.
Right.
So So remember that at those students. That's what we're here for. That's why we get up every morning. That's why this is not a job. This is a calling. Know your purpose. Nothing is impossible. And I can tell you that as educators, we have to think about this. When you see our students here on the stage, you cannot have a frame of mind where you think things are not possible. We have to make it possible. We have to make sure that our students have self-sustaining success. Our students will leave a lasting legacy.
Yes.
Our students will graduate with more than a diploma.
Yes.
As a man thinketh,
So
so is he.
Right.
How many of you think you are a good teacher? I'm still a good teacher.
Right.
I don't care about what you say.
Right.
I'm a good teacher.
Right.
Now, how many of you think you are a good teacher? As a man thinking,
so is he.
Mr. Richardson said, wait a minute, I heard him from here. He said, I'm not a good teacher, I'm a great teacher. One thing that we will do in Lancaster ISD, when we get our blueberries in here, we're going to take care of our blueberries. Because we know why we are here. So look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, I think you brought it on home for us.
I think he brought it on home, and then he did.